Well, this is Bill Steffen. Thanks so much for joining me. We'll talk a little bit of weather. We got some trivia for you today as well. Just want to start out and just mention that the moon is out here. For those of you that are up into the early morning period, the moon is a crescent right now. You can see it's pretty thin. And while it's still visible here during the early morning, you can look at that off to the east. It will reemerge in the western sky during the evening here in just a few days. But that's what it looks like here today. Hey, it was a warm day yesterday, a relatively warm day. Temperature in Chicago, look at that, 71 degrees. Here in Michigan, mid 60s at Battle Creek, Kalamazoo, Benton Harbor. Grand Rapids topped out at 63 degrees. What's interesting, look at the South Haven Beach. Their high temperature was 60, and that occurred at 6 o'clock in the morning. With the wind south-southeast coming off the land and pretty breezy there, it mixed down a little warmer air. Up north, Muskegon Beach had their high temperature at 3 p.m. in the afternoon at 55. They were 5 degrees cooler. Nice picture there of Windmill Island. The clouds did give way to some sunshine here, but nice day. There were a number of people that were walking around there and enjoying the day. Sunrise and sunset time, we continue to shrink daylight here. We're down to 5:18 for sunset, and we only go to 5:08. That occurs about December 9th. That would be our earliest sunset in the evening. We get 9 hours and about 40 minutes worth of daylight. Average high temperature and low temperature, 47 and 33. Record high temperature, 68 in 1896. That goes back a ways. And 11 degrees, the coldest temperature. We had a couple of pretty cold winters in the early 70s, and then again in the late 70s, 76 to 79, I think, was the coldest 3-year period Grand Rapids has ever had. Picture shows what the big red lighthouse looked like over in the Holland area, and of course it was pretty breezy out there as well. Okay, the lake forecast calls for a rather choppy day out there again. Waves could reach as high as 4 to 8 feet. Winds be out of the northwest during the day and certainly colder. Temperatures in the afternoon could be 15 to 20 degrees colder today than they were yesterday. What's interesting is the water temperature at both Holland at the channel and at Reed's Lake went up a degree in the last 24 hours with the mild air and a bit of sunshine that we saw. Small craft advisories in effect here during the day today. Okay, on we go. Let's take a look at some rainfall totals here across the area. You can see we've got, this is 66-hour precipitation, and the state that's going to get the most rain is California once again. They have a series of atmospheric rivers coming in. Rivers are high there in California and will stay that way. You can see a little swath of very light precipitation across southwest lower Michigan. That would be for mainly Tuesday, but again, it would be fairly light. All right, we have another map to show you here from that 66-hour model, and this is interesting. Well, first, let me show you how much rain they've already had out there in the west. Los Angeles at the airport, 1 3/4 inches. The Los Angeles River was looking more like the Grand River. It had a lot of water in it. San Diego picked up 1.2 inches, and I would suspect by the time this whole episode ends, there'll be places with over 5 inches of rain in Southern California. So that's pretty unusual, especially this early in the winter season. Okay, now we'll take a look at the snowfall off that 66-hour map. You can see up in the higher elevations of California, the Sierra Nevadas, they're going to get a ton of snow. Everywhere else they get rain. You can see the snow hitting parts of the Yellowstone Grand Teton area as well. And look at the snow that's going to fall from along the Canadian border. Up into Quebec, they're getting a lot of snow here this month of November. You can see about half foot of snow could fall up there in northern Maine. There will be some snow in Michigan. Let's go to the next slide. We'll zoom in and show you where that's going to be. There's going to be a couple of bands of lake effect snow. We won't be seeing much down where we are, but there'll be a little band that'll be occurring north of Houghton Lake, and another band, more significant snow, up there in the UP. If you're traveling over the Mack Bridge up into Luce County, Newberry, up toward Tequamanon Falls, some places up there could see 3 to 6 inches of new snow. The next slide that we have for you shows a weather advisory which will be in effect for several counties off to the north. And if we could take a look at that next map here, we'll be able to share with you where that's going to be. You can see here there's a couple of counties involved, but generally Newberry, it's west of Sault Ste. Marie. I don't think Sault Ste. Marie sees a lot of snow, but that area to the northwest of Mackinac Island there should certainly see some snow. And that will be in effect. Anybody heading up there, watch for some slippery roads. This will be a wet, heavy type of snow. It will be tough to shovel. But some of that may melt as it falls, as temperatures here in November are still relatively warm compared to January. All right, let's go on and take a look at severe weather. Storm reports. There were 58 reports of downed trees in Los Angeles proper and other areas too. They had, now there was very little, if any, lightning with this, but there were squalls that were coming in with this atmospheric river they're getting. And in a squall, the rain goes from light to heavy, and the wind comes up, and they got some wind gusts there, isolated wind gusts in excess of 40, 50 miles an hour. Now, where's the severe weather going to be for the next couple of days? So we got a couple of maps to share with you on that as well. This is a non-severe thunderstorm. Could be occurring in parts of Arizona, New Mexico, up into Utah, Colorado, and Wyoming, and also around the San Francisco area. And then we'll go on to the next map, and it again shows an area of where there could be not a severe storm, but a general thunderstorm, and that extends from Oklahoma up into southwest Illinois. If you're looking for severe weather, the days of Thursday and Friday of this coming week, I think to our south, not here, but to our south, there will certainly be the possibility for some severe weather to develop in the mid to lower Mississippi Valley. All right, let's move on and talk about tropical weather for a little bit. Look at that. No suspect areas in the Indian Ocean, no suspect areas in the Western Pacific. There is not a single typhoon, hurricane, tropical storm, or even tropical depression anywhere in the world. And again, that's pretty unusual. Very quiet period here. Of course, it's becoming summer in the southern hemisphere. The southern hemisphere doesn't get as many hurricanes as the northern hemisphere does. On we go. We got lots more to talk about. Headlines: breezy and significantly colder today. We saw temperatures in most of the areas in the 60s yesterday. We'll only be in the low 40s most of the afternoon today with a stiff wind. So grab the winter coat again. Probably going to need it. Good news is it'll be anywhere from partly to mostly sunny. There'll be a chance of a rain or snow shower here during the day on Tuesday. It should be fairly light if you saw one. It's about a 50-50 chance. A better bet for some rain will come late. That should read Thursday down on the bottom, not Tuesday, but Thursday. Thursday and Friday, we should see rain and perhaps some significant rain and even the chance for a flash of lightning. So keep that in mind. The end of next week looks rather wet. On we go. Let's take a look at what we have now for today's weather. Temperature doesn't go up much. It goes down to about 36 and then kind of holds in the upper 30s, low 40s during the day. Yeah, I got mostly sunny. It may turn out to be partly sunny in places and mostly clear here during the early morning. Humidity does drop to 50%. Dew points go all the way down in the low to mid 20s today, and northwest winds at 15 to 20 miles an hour. It could be up as high as 25 miles an hour near Lake Michigan. Take a look at some high temperatures here today, and these are afternoon highs. Many of these areas will see high temperatures at 12:01 in the morning here is when they've recorded their highs for the day already. But low 40s in inland areas, not quite as cool down toward Chicago. It almost makes 50 there, but cooler to the north, 34, the temperature up there at Gaylord, 37 at Houghton Lake. And the UP, there's temperatures here in the 30s, so a rather cool day across Michigan compared to what we had here on Saturday. And then looking ahead to Monday, Monday's temperatures, they may be a couple degrees warmer, and the wind may be a touch less. So that's the good news. Temperatures will still be mid-40s in inland areas for highs, mid to upper 30s as you go off to the north. And in that area just west of Gaylord, there may actually be a little dusting of snow up there, so keep that in mind. The 5-day forecast looks like this. We've got partly to mostly sunny skies here for today, and temperatures during the day today should make it up into the mid 40s, low to mid 40s. And if you're looking for a little warmer weather, it might warm back up into the low 50s here on Thursday when we see a chance of rain. Chance of rain here on Tuesday is about 50-50. It would be light, less than 1/10 of an inch of liquid, though there may be a period of mixed rain or snow here Tuesday, especially north of Grand Rapids. Temperatures do get down below freezing here Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, so you may have some frost to scrape off the car here early Monday morning and maybe early Wednesday morning too. So all in all, a much more November-like pattern here. And the 8 to 14-day outlook looks like this. The cool air from out in the western United States is gradually going to start advancing to the east. But if you were to take the entire 7-day period, 23rd through the 29th, you would find the temperatures east of the Mississippi River would likely be warmer than average. And average temperatures are in the mid 40s right now for highs. By the time we get to the end of the month, those average temperatures are down to around 41 or so. So those continue to drop. And it stays cool in the west where the mountainous areas are going to get snow. This is a good pattern for the start of the ski season in the western United States. If you like to go skiing in November, late November, early December, you can find a place to ski out there in the western U.S. And then the rainfall outlook, again, much of the country seeing decent rains here during the winter, and that's kind of good because it makes sure all the trees and the evergreens especially get a good drink of water here during the late fall before the ground freezes and winter sets in for good. Well, let's take a look at what else we got for you here. Let's look at our weather. Bill, have you seen the prediction for a La Nina winter? The answer is yes, I have. And let me read the rest of it here. Colder and wetter for the Great Lakes region. Does that mean more snow for us? Well, we've had La Nina now for what could be, I guess you could classify it as, if it happens this year, it would be 5 out of 6 years. So you can take a look at the past 5 years or so, 6 years, and remember kind of what we got. In La Nina, you tend to have a bit of a storm track a little bit south of Michigan. And so that would tend to give us some snow, but sometimes the storms are a little bit too far south for us to get real heavy synoptic snow. Sometimes that happens, but yeah, we're going to have to keep an eye on things. I think our average snowfall of 77 inches in Grand Rapids is a little high for an average. Like I've said before, we've had some snowy winters that have factored into that, and I think our 1,000-year average would be less than 77 if you were to keep records for that long. I would go for a near average snowfall, maybe ever so slightly underneath that for Grand Rapids, and then near snowfall at Lake Michigan, where we should see some cold outbreaks here and the possibility for some lake effect snow. I think this would be a good season for the ski industry in general, not just in Michigan, but across much of the United States, with significant snows into the New England area, the upper Great Lakes here, and the western United States as well. And we'll talk more about that later on. I've been meaning to put the La Nina current sea surface temperature anomaly map in the show, and we'll have to do that here one of these days. But thanks, Mike, for the question. All right, let's move on and see what else what else we have here. This state entered the Union on November 16, 1907. Okay, now we'll stop right there for a second. Most of the states were in the Union at that point in time, so that doesn't leave you with much. I'm thinking Arizona, New Mexico. Yeah, I think New Mexico was even in by then. Oklahoma, and of course Alaska and Hawaii, which didn't come in until 58 and 59. Okay, it's known as the Sooner State, and that is Oklahoma, I'm sure, a reference to the people who illegally claimed land before it was open to settlement. The state borders 6 other states, including Texas. Texas to the south, Arkansas to the east, Kansas to the north, and I think small parts of Missouri border Oklahoma, southwest Missouri, northeast Oklahoma. And also, I think the Panhandle juts out and touches Colorado and New Mexico. So let's see if I got that right. All right, Sooner State is Oklahoma. Let's take a look at the answer. And yes, indeed, it is Oklahoma. Um, there's Muskogee off to the side. It's a great state for thunderstorms. If you want to see severe thunderstorms, head to Oklahoma in the month of May, and you're likely to be able to drive and see some pretty good thunderstorms. I think Oklahoma is the only state that has a working oil well under the state capitol, which is interesting. All right, let's go on and take a look at the next slide here. Bill, when were you in Oklahoma? Well, let's see. I can think of at least 3 times I've been in Oklahoma. I was there once with the kids. We went and touched Oklahoma on our way down to Texas for one of our spring break trips. Didn't spend much time there. My longest trip in Oklahoma was when I went down there to do some storm chasing with ace photographer Mary Murray, who had to drive past Garth Brooks' house. We actually did that. And we went down to the storm chase. They had this set up like 6 months in advance, so they picked the days. And lo and behold, I don't know that we saw a cloud in 4 days. We had to justify our time down there, so we did a story on the Storm Prediction Center and how meteorologists there issue severe thunderstorm and tornado watches. We did a story at the Severe Storms Lab where they kind of shoot 2x4s into concrete walls to see what damage that occurs. Force equals mass times velocity squared. Got to know that when you work at the lab. And then let's see, I went down there coming back from taking Michelle down to SMU to law school down there. And on the way back, we went due north through Oklahoma, Kansas, South Dakota, and then east through Minnesota and around the lake. So those are 3 times I've been in Oklahoma. I maybe other times too. I'd have to dust off my memory bank here. All right, moving on. This musical premiered on Broadway on November 16, 1959. Okay, I would have been 8 years old. The movie featuring Julie Andrews. Well, that narrows it down. It's either Mary Poppins or Sound of Music. And Christopher Plummer was released in 1965. We'll go with The Sound of Music. And yes, indeed it is. And that is the Broadway stage show, which was slightly different from the movie. The movie was amazing. I mean, it's one of the top 3, I think, movies viewed by people worldwide in ever. I mean, just pretty amazing. And of course, it tells the story of the Von Trapp family, who decided that, and they were a wealthy family, to leave everything behind. And they didn't escape over the mountains in Austria like the movie shows. They escaped on a train to Italy, and then lo and behold, they found there was another nutcase in charge of Italy at the time, Mussolini. So they managed to get to the United States, where they settled in Vermont because it looked like Austria. And they began singing to earn a living with their family. And now there's the Von Trapp Resort, which Michelle and I visited on our trip to Vermont about a year and a half ago. It has 2,500 acres, and you can do everything there from watch a show to go horseback riding. They have a really nice gift shop, several restaurants on the property. But really a neat place to be, and you'll see people from all over the world. You know, you'll take a look at people, and you'll hear all kinds of different languages being spoken. So interesting, and that is in Stowe, Vermont, Stowe. After that, you can go to Ben and Jerry's, and they'll give you a little tiny scoop of ice cream for free. All right, Mary Martin played Maria in the original Broadway production of The Sound of Music. She sang on radio shows before making her Broadway debut in 1938. She was from Weatherford, Texas. What a great name for a town, Weatherford. I like that. Mary Martin was also, one of her famous roles was Peter Pan. And she would come in, on wires and everything, and in the productions. And I think she did that both on radio and on television. So she was from Texas and had a very successful career. If you read anything about her, she talks about the fact that she had a very happy childhood, playing with her older sister and having a good time down there in Texas. All right, let's see what else we got here for you. We have a couple of pictures from John Doherty. You know, it's not quite the same thing, but it reminds me a little bit. I just trimmed back the forsythia bush, and there are actually some yellow blossoms on the bottom. There's a few plants that produce a blossom or two. I've actually seen a blossom or two out in the apple orchard during the fall time of year. But rather interesting. I don't know what that is. I'll have to see if I can find out. But neat picture. It almost looks like there's a sculpture. It almost looks like a glob of lightning. And there's a sculpture at the Meyer Gardens that kind of reminds me of there too. All right, thanks, John. As always, we go on. I think we have something from John Scully. And once again, another deer. There must be a lot. You know, if I were going deer hunting, I think I would go to Muskegon and I would contact John Scully and say, hey, where are you finding these awesome deer? But he lives along the lakeshore, and you can see the deer there. Leaves pretty much off the trees there, as you can see, but there are a few trees that still have some color, and some of the leaves have turned brown rather than just yellow, and they cling to the trees. The orchard across the street from me is yellow now, and those leaves gradually fall off, not usually until November. It's usually, you know, it's a little bit later than average this year, but normally it's very end of October into the first week or even two of November that the leaves fall off the apple trees there. Another good year, though, for apples. I've had several bags of apples that I bought from a local orchard here, and they are yummy. All right, let's see. I think we may be done at this point in time. Yes, indeed, we are. I want to give you an update on the weather for today. It will be much colder than yesterday. Not quite as cold as that picture indicates, but it will certainly be a breezy and chilly day. And we'll have dry conditions here for today and tomorrow. A chance of a rain or snow shower here on Tuesday. Have yourself a great day today, everybody. Go Lions.